So, welcome back to the SCRANCAM. This week, I'm joined by Isaac after United have stayed top of the league by drawing 0-0 away at Anfield. A decent result, I think, but in the end, I came away a bit disappointed myself because I think we had the better chances and was just a little bit unfortunate not to nick it. How do you see that one, Isaac?
Yeah, mate, I completely agree. In all honesty, I was pretty happy coming away with a point at a ground where the team, they've not lost in 3.5 years. So I can't really complain, but like you, I was quite frustrated because I honestly felt like we could have been the team to break that record today. I think we had, definitely in the second half, I think we had the better of the play. We defended really solidly throughout. The midfield, first 30 minutes, they kind of got played through, but especially Scott definitely grew into the game. I thought, second half, he showcased his dribbling, which I think is a really underrated attribute of Scott's. He's actually a really good dribbler. And he definitely showed that a few times second half. A few tactical fouls coming in on him. But in all honesty, I'm not unhappy.
No, I agree. Scott's he's fantastic. So getting the ball down at his feet, driving with it. And I think what I've noticed is when he seems to know what he's going to do before he gets the ball, he's able to do it really well. Whether that's switch the play, whether that's pass it forward, whether that's get his foot down on it, get around his man and just dribble forward. He's really strong on the ball. But it seems to be whenever he's not quite so sure and he's a little bit less sure of what he's going to do, he takes a touch, wants to play it safe, then thinks, hang on, I'm playing for United, I can't just play safe all the time, plays it forward and it gets intercepted. So I think maybe that's a bit of maturing he's got to do still. But when he knows what he wants to do, he's getting better and better every game, really. He's fantastic at dribbling, fantastic box-to-box, really. It's just maybe sometimes he can be a bit sloppy in his passing. But to be fair, everyone misplaced his passes. Thiago messed up a few himself in the first half. So, I mean, as you were saying that, in the first 20, 30 minutes, Liverpool were all over us. And why do you think that was? And how do you think United could have done better? Did you think we sort of came through it, or do you think it was a case of Liverpool letting their own foot off the gas a bit towards the?
So what I would say is, I think a key part of Liverpool dominating the first 30 was the midfield. I mean, if I'm honest, I don't think Scott and Fred handled the first 30 minutes particularly well. I thought they kind of got played through. I don't think Bruno played well at all, really. But he also wasn't particularly good in the first 30. I honestly thought the defence handled the pressure pretty well. We didn't actually concede many high-quality chances in those first 30 minutes. So, I mean, yeah, I think it was a case of partially our defence handling the pressure pretty well that we came through it, and also partially that Liverpool's attack it's a shadow of what it was last season. I thought they were pretty poor today. I wasn't really impressed with definitely Mane and Firmino. And even Salah, his dribbling was fairly good. Caused us a few problems, but not too much to worry about from any of those three.
Yeah, he was quiet by his own standards, really. I think Maguire and Shaw, and to be fair, Lindelof as well, you've got to give credit to all of them. They were all brilliant. For me, in that first sort of 20, 25, 30 minutes, I think the issue for United was in the middle of the park, as you say, because we seem to be going man for man with Fred and McTominay, and a lot of times Fred was diving in on whether it's Thiago, whether it's Shaqiri, whether it's Wijnaldum, they just take it round him. And then all of a sudden, if you're man for man, McTominay's too far away to get back in and cover, and Fernandes was up top with Rashford looking for the counter-attack. So I think in that midfield area, they had the spare man, but it was made even worse by Fred and McTominay constantly diving in and getting beaten, the ball taken around them. And it just made it really difficult for us to either win the ball back, stop Liverpool getting forwards, or get out ourselves. UTFR United says we should have won. Yeah, 100%. We had the better chances in that game. We had to take them. Really. Yeah, Pogba, Bruno. Credit for the Bruno one. Luke Shaw set it up, my man of the match. Who do you think was man of the match, Isaac? Let me know in the comments.
Definitely Luke Shaw. I agree. I really honestly think that in that game in particular, I mean, the only other player who was doing it consistently was Scott, who just when they got the ball, Shaw looked to drive forward, and whenever any of our players did that, even AWB a few times, there was often quite a bit of success. We got past their men and it caused a few problems for them. They looked a little bit worried. Definitely with Shaw. There was a few tactical fouls going in.
Yeah, in a sense, I mean, I agree with you. I think the game was cagey, but cagey not through the middle as it normally was, but out on the wings, especially because both teams know that. So we knew full well Liverpool's fullbacks are a big threat, their wingers are a big threat, and they obviously saw the same thing with us because they didn't want to give us too much space. But we weren't. A lot of times we weren't willing to commit Wan-Bissaka and Shaw too far forward. And when they did get forward, as you say, they created chances. Shaw created the one for Bruno, and Wan-Bissaka created the one for Pogba. So when the fullbacks did get forward and they went into the spaces left behind or they overlapped, I mean, we did see chances, but we just weren't willing to keep committing them forward because we would have probably conceded a few chances ourselves. And to be fair, in that sense, I think a draw was a better result for us than it was for Liverpool. But yeah, I think, how did you say it? Do you think we were maybe too defensive? Maybe should have taken more risks going forward?
I don't know. I don't think I can really blame Ole for not taking more risks because they're not in the greatest of form. But again, that Liverpool front three, when you give them one good chance and they're going to hurt you, and we didn't really. So, yeah. I mean, I don't really think we set up. I don't think there was anything too wrong with our setup because, as we've said, we did create the two best chances of the game. I think if you were going to pick a team that could have won that match, it would have been us. And to do that at Anfield is, it's not an easy task at all.
I do agree with you. I mean, UTFR United said Rashford has one of the worst games in his United career. Now, I mean, we're talking about attacking and whether we should have won the game. I think that there were a couple of times when Rashford got the ball and just did completely the wrong thing. I think he does seem to be a little bit out of form at the moment. Now, I mean, a couple of weeks ago, he was obviously in fantastic form, scoring pretty much every game. He's been fantastic away from home. Only got one league goal at Old Trafford, but away from Old Trafford, he's been fantastic in the league this season. Do you think maybe Rashford's burnt out, or do you think things aren't quite coming off for him? Because it seemed, especially with the offsides in the first half, maybe he was forcing it a bit too much. I don't know. It just seems like he's not quite as sharp as he could be, and things aren't quite gelled for him in the way they should be.
Yeah, I think Rashford's had a good season generally. Today, I agree with UTFR. It's pretty awful. Him and Bruno were probably the two most disappointing players for me in today's game. His decision making is a big question mark for me right now. Anyway, I do feel like he's good at running beyond the defensive line, but oftentimes he does get caught out. And to credit Liverpool, they did play the high line very well. I mean, say what you want about Henderson and Fabinho, they did have good games.
Yeah, I mean, they were good, and I think to be fair, give them credit as well. But I do think the liner did have a bit of a poor one in the first half. When I think Rashford was offside 4 times in the first half, and I think 2 of them weren't offside, so they were poor calls. So it maybe exaggerated it a bit more than it should have been. But I do agree, Rashford didn't have his best of games tonight. So UTFR United says we should have played Cavani from the start. I mean, what do you reckon to that one? I think when Cavani came on, for me it was sort of a toss-up because it could have been Martial, it could have been Rashford, could have been. I was even thinking maybe one of McTominay and Fred go off because move Pogba a bit deeper and. Because McTominay and Fred were pretty poor for a long time. I think, as you said, Scott did grow into the game, but Fred wasn't great. He didn't have his best performance. He nipped into challenges. He ran around a lot, but he always when he went really high to press whatever Liverpool midfielder was dropping deeper to receive the ball, I found all the time he got there too late. He didn't really offer anything, and then there was just a massive gap left behind. So I think, Fred could have gone off. McTominay could have gone off. But yeah, I was a bit surprised it was Martial. Maybe it's a fitness concern. What do you reckon? Cavani to start? Should he have started?
I'm not honestly sure about starting Cavani. I quite like Cavani as a bench option. The thing is, the problems we have with Rashford being caught offside, you do often get those with Cavani as well. When Cavani did come on, I think he played reasonably well. I think his decision-making probably would have been better than Rashford's. But one thing I will say in Rashford's defence is that I think some of the positions Rashford got into in the first place, Cavani maybe wouldn't have made it into himself because he's not quite as good a dribbler.
I agree with that. I think, on the one where Rashford was running through, Cavani had the other option, making that diagonal run. I think for me, Cavani was a bit too narrow in that. I think if he'd gone a little bit wider, he opens up a bit more space for Rashford. I mean, it was a specific, obviously a very specific moment. I don't know if you remember that one, but there was obviously the opportunity. He could have maybe played it a bit deeper to Pogba. And it was just a disappointing one. In that situation, you think Rashford's got to run round Fabinho. It's got to get a shot on target, got to get a shot away at least. But he's not quite able to. And obviously part of that is probably Cavani's run not being the greatest. But it was just, I think, symptomatic of the game that a lot of our attackers had. They weren't quite on their best form. So, I agree with you. Cavani's a fantastic bench option. He can come off. He can offer a lot from the bench. And, maybe he shouldn't have started. George Sanders says, keep up the good work, fella. Cheers, Sanders. Lovely comment. Glad you're watching the stream. UTFR says the ref blew 6 seconds before the first half ended. Mane was through on goal. Yeah, it was like a FIFA on that one, to be honest. Blew the half time when Mane was through. Fair enough. We got away with one there, but a few of the offsides I do think were a bit dodgy. So I'm not going to back down on that one. I think the offsides were a little bit dodgy. In terms of our other subs, though, were you surprised maybe that Ole left it so long before bringing on Mason Greenwood? And just the way he didn't seem to want to make any changes. He was almost happy with a draw in many ways.
I don't know about Greenwood. So I'm not gonna lay into Greenwood because I think he's a very talented player. But right now, I think this season you've seen that there are definitely limits to his game. I think probably even right now, I think even probably a Paul Rashford is at least as useful as Greenwood. And that's not to say that I think Greenwood won't get better. But right now, I think Greenwood has quite a lot of the similar issues that Rashford does in that his decision making is not the best. I think a lot of our attackers suffer with tunnel vision in a sense, and Rashford's definitely part of that as well. They often, I kind of feel like they often just run with the ball with the intention of shooting and don't see the wider picture. And that was definitely the case on the goal, not on the goal, but when Rashford was running through and he had Cavani one side, I think Pogba the other side, as you said.
Yeah.
And I think Greenwood kind of has similar issues. I guess the one thing you would say about maybe bringing Greenwood on 5-10 minutes earlier, because whatever else you want to say about him, he's a phenomenal finisher.
Yeah, exactly. As UTFR says.
Yeah. Mason probably would have finished the Pogba chance.
Yeah, it's a difficult one. I think I do agree. Rashford, obviously for a long time, Rashford had a lot of limitations. I think he shot from inefficient positions, like too far out quite often. He did get tunnel vision. I think he's getting better at it slowly. But what we've seen with Greenwood's not. He has gone back, almost looked like he's gone backwards a bit this year, but it's what we see with so many young players. They come through, they have a fantastic breakout season. That takes them another season to work on the other areas of their game that maybe aren't quite so good. And they look like they've gone backwards, but actually they come through it and become a more complete player afterwards. So I'm hoping that Greenwood can work on those sort of areas. His hold-up play, his passing, his link-up, his timing of runs. Obviously, we saw when he started up top in the previous game, I think. And he wasn't making the runs across the front post when he needed to, wasn't quite getting in the right areas within the 6-yard box, within the penalty area. So I think that's something that obviously Mason Greenwood's got to work on, and the coaching staff will know that themselves. Overall then, so to sum up, disappointed that we haven't quite won the game. It's frustrating because we had the better chances. Obviously, who have we got next the weekend?
Isn't it Liverpool again in the Cup?
Might well be, yeah. Yeah, it is. City obviously got the chances, but who do you think? So for Liverpool again in the Cup, what are your predictions for that? It's Fulham. It's Fulham. Sorry, Fulham.
Fulham.
Yeah, UTFR says, will we see Diallo against Fulham? Honestly, I really hope so. For me, against Fulham, I want to see Van der Beek play. I want Bruno rested because he needs a rest. Diallo would be great to see on the right-hand side, so hopefully we see him. Maybe Dan James on the left as well. Give a lot of our players a rest, and we still should be able to come through and win that game. That's for me. So I think we're going to win that game 3-0. Isaac, let's have your predictions before we round off the stream.
Fulham. Ooh, I'm not sure I'd say 3-0 because I think Fulham are a pretty good team, but I think they're missing Reed and they're missing Anthony Robinson, and they're two quite big players for Fulham. I'm going to say 2-0. I think we've got it in us to keep another clean sheet. I've been really impressed with Maguire this season, aside from the start. I think Lindelof's been good. he was very good today. I think he's probably even maybe the better of the two centre backs slightly. And I think Baye's been really good when he's come into the team. So yeah, I think we can probably keep a clean sheet, but I also think Fulham will give us a game. So 2-0 for me.
Fair enough. UTFR says 3-1 United for me. So yeah, obviously the same, I guess, difference, the same margin of victory. But yeah, thanks so much for watching the stream. Cheers for coming on, Isaac. It's been great to have you on. We stay top of the league. Hopefully City bottle it against Palace, although they're 1-0 up at the moment as we speak. So thanks so much for watching. Thanks for coming on, and see you again next time.
Cheers. See you later.